Move over to the heavy hitters, if you will, of the Western Big Six. Starting off with Moline taking on Rockwood Summit. What can we expect from the Moline Maroons this year?
Crazy game when these two teams played last year, 41-40, I believe. Don't quote me on that, or you can quote me on that. It went overtime. This moment, I mean, you know what they're going to do. They're going to get off the bus. They're going to be physical. They're going to run the football. They got two guys coming back that were their top two skill players last year in Mark Carey and Eli Warren, and those two guys would in their offense as sophomores were the two guys that toted the rock the most. The interesting part, though, was last year in some of their bigger games, they had a couple players that would graduate. One of them, of course, being Adrian Cooper. He had a huge load last year on the offensive and defensive end. But now with Carey and Warren being guys that you're going to see get more of a workload on offense, it'll be interesting to see that dynamic of them getting the bulk of the carries. Their defense could be their calling card, especially early in the season, because they lost a bit on the offensive line. They're working in some new pieces. Their defensive line, they've got dudes everywhere. They've got multiple guys that they got coming back. A couple all-conference guys on their defensive front that are really good. They got some depth there. When I spoke to Coach Morrissey a few weeks ago, he really touted how excited he was about that defensive line. Two second-team all-conference defensive linemen and one first-team all-conference defensive lineman returning. That's probably the strongest unit on their team, and I think that could be something that can carry them early on in the season.
Okay, and not to put you on the spot, but I kind of am. Do you think that this is the year that Moline can reclaim the Western Big Six? Because it's been under Quincy's control over the last couple of years.
It has been. I think it's a great question because this is as open as the league has been in years. Mm-hmm. I remember when I talked to Mike Morrissey, we're on a first name basis, when I talked to him, he said, he was saying that he thinks that this is the most wide open the league has been since his first year, 2017.
Wow.
And I agreed with him. There's a multitude of teams. Quincy's obviously still got some guys. They lost a lot, but they still have some good players coming back. UT and Moline, I think, are neck and neck. They played a very tight game last year when they played middle of the season at Browning, and Moline got the best of them. This year, that game is in Week 8, and it's going to be at UT, and who knows what kind of implications that could have. Obviously, both teams got to get to that point where we're way ahead of that right now. But to answer the question, long story, the long version of it, Moline's definitely on the short list, and they deserve to be. But I think that there's a handful of teams. I think if you went in there and juggled around and pulled out the 50-50 number, there's probably multiple teams that are deserving. It's definitely going to be a fun season.